Give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
Pow, and welcome back to another episode of the SUMELEVATE podcast. I have a very special guest with us today, Jamie Catto, the author of Insanely Gifted. And it's great to have you with us today, man.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about what made you start in this journey and what really instigated this book. How did you come to write it, and what were your inspirations?
Yeah, my main inspiration is I see everybody living in such an edited down, dishonest version of themselves because of all the trauma of our upbringing. It became so important that no one ever laughs at me. No one ever sees me not having it together. No one ever sees me looking ugly or shameful or whatever. No one must ever see you looking like. Everyone's got their list.
Yeah.
And due to that, terror of the childhood and terror of being told off by our parents and making sure we fit with the things they tell us that are welcome and the things they tell us that aren't welcome, and that whole drama, we've all edited ourselves down to such a minute version of our potential. And so many things we've just edited away because, even the good bits, not just the shadow of, the greed and the anger and all the things we're taught not to show, but also our natural flamboyant entertainer, the parts of us that get excited and want to share ourselves, have also been shut down often by our childhoods. Stop showing off in front of your friends and horrible things like that shame us. So everybody is kind of showing this appropriate little shop window of themselves, of all the parts of themselves that have gone down well, that haven't got themselves rejected, like the graphic equalizer pushing the good bits. It's incredibly exhausting to keep all that other stuff suppressed.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's like the highlight reel almost. We're hiding.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And it's such a limitation on our intimacy and our deeper connection with each other. It's such a limitation on our art and our creativity and our offerings. It's such a limitation on our feeling energized instead of exhausted, suppressing it all. It's just messing up everybody's life, like to such a huge degree. It's like the dinosaur in the room, that everyone's living at such a fraction of their potential, a fraction of their ability to be intimate and honest with everyone else. Everyone's hiding how crazy they are, as I was saying before. Like, if anyone could hear your internal dialogue on a daily basis in your mind or mine, they'd think, shit, these guys are fucking crazy. But everyone has that, and no one wants anyone to know what's going on there. So everyone's done a very good job of presenting this masked version that isn't as crazy. But we get into the room with people and you get everyone to admit at the same time that we're all nuts. It's such a relief. And the whole spiritual path, the whole evolution path becomes much less earnest and much more, I have to do this because I'm not enough unless I grow. It becomes, instead of a scarcity drama where you just keep proving to yourself again and again you're not enough, it becomes an opening, a loving, a kindness to yourself and other people, that we're all crazy, we all are fragile, we all deserve a lot more compassion. And when we start turning towards our edgy feelings that way, instead of pushing them away so no one notices, when we start turning towards ourselves and going inside and going, oh, that feels tough, then we give permission for everyone else around us to lighten up around this whole thing and not make it such a big personal melodrama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a quote actually, the best way to reach enlightenment is just to lighten up. I've heard that before as well. I think it's really interesting about how you bring this level of awareness to creativity, and it's all the same thing in a certain way. And so what is your relationship between creativity and creating artwork that creates that lasting impression, and the self and the artist?
I'll tell you right now, I'm glad you asked me that. Basically, we each have, according to the ancient Taoists, a yin side of us and a yang side of us. We all have what they would call masculine, but don't worry about the boy-girl side of that. The part of us that goes out into the world and does stuff and solves the problem and gets to the next stage and imposes ourselves on reality and makes it how we want. And that's how we've been taught in the patriarchy to operate. Yeah. There's another whole half of us that isn't trusted, which is the more feminine yin side of us, which listens, which is impacted by the world, which is the space around things. It's when we are curious, when we're fascinated, when we're in a flow state and we let life do us. It's where all the genius is, but no one dares go there because they're so scared of letting go of control. It's in that listening space that where great art happens. When you write a song, you twiddle around on a song, you don't think up a song with your yang. You don't go, I will play E, now I will play G. You don't. You kind of twiddle around and you hear a melody. It comes in, you go, oh, that's good, and you write it down. Great composers are really glorified secretaries. just listening to what came through. And I've noticed that the same tools to be able to tune into that flow state, to let the art do you, are exactly the same tools for self-development, to let life do you, to let your pain, which you've been avoiding so long and pushing away because we're addicted to comfort and push away anything that's in the slightest bit edgy. Get a headache, take a pill. But if you change that around and say, I am now a human who's willing to feel some of my uncomfortable feelings. A big step for most people to really say that and mean it. But if you're willing to feel some of your uncomfortable feelings, then you're not on the run from yourself, abandoning yourself all the time. No, that's not okay to feel. Get me Facebook, get me the fridge. You're not doing that anymore. You're curious, if anything. You're listening, just like we listen for our flow state, making music or films or art. You're listening to yourself and you go, oh man, that's some big waves of depression or grief today. But you're not running away to, how can I get rid of this? Something's wrong. I'm depressed. You don't take that attitude. You go, ah, depression, something's right. My body's doing something genius. It's flushing out some old stagnant emotion. I'm going to be with that. Rather than running away with it, you turn inside and you listen deeply to it with curiosity, and then your body's genius starts to dissolve it, and your compassion goes through the roof for other people that are feeling it, and your illuminations about yourself get huge. And all this treasure happens just by stopping and listening and being with. And it's exactly the same process for your inner healing and evolution as it is for listening to the flow state of your muse to make your great piece of art. And that's where the two came together for me, as I realized as I was making all this art and working with other people and training them to make film and music and stuff with me, that actually they all needed to go internal first before they could put their stuff out there. And for me, the yin, the listening, the receptive, it has to come first. Then I know I'm in alignment. Ah, that's a great idea. And then I instruct the doing part of myself, the outward yang part, go and do this, go and do that. But that can't start. Otherwise, it's a big ego trip. That can't start unless the listening part of you has really dropped in and go, ah, this is my truth. So it starts with the yin listening, and then it becomes the yang doing. And it's the same in self-development as it is in creating art.
Absolutely. That's really fascinating. I really liked the subtitle of your book and how you said you're changing your inner demons.
Turning your demons
Yeah.
into creative
rocket fuel. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, because most people look at dealing with their demons.
Yeah.
Forgive me. Sorry, we've got a bit of a time delay, so it sounds like we're interrupting each other.
Yeah.
Most people look at their demons as problems they need to neutralize.
Right.
I don't look at it that way. I look at the demons in the old translation of the world, which was DAEMONS, which are, these are your spirit helpers who are actually coming to show you the things you should avoid, show you the things you should go down there. They're there to help you. All our demons think they're helping. We've just been such melodrama. We push away anything edgy. So we've made them into phantoms. But the truth is they're just little helpers. They're little parts of ourselves that are trying to help. And so I don't believe when we're feeling these depressions or these angers or these demons that jump in, that it's a bad thing and it's something to be neutralized. It's something for me to be alchemized. We transform them rather than just get rid of the problem. We transform them into treasure. Because when you take another look at your inner critic, for example, most people look at their demon of, everyone has an inner critic, a voice in their head that's putting them down and being negative. Everyone has one. Now, most people want to get rid of theirs and they look at it as a terrible thing in their life. But for me, the inner critic is a great gift, because when you let the inner critic speak, if you become curious about what your inner critic wants to say to you and you even write down everything it says to you, then you turn those statements into I statements. I'm a waste of time. I've wasted my life. No one likes me. You know, whatever it is, you've now got a list revealed from your unconscious of all the ways you avoid life, all the limiting beliefs that play such a huge part in your life, the unconscious beliefs you carry negatively about yourself. Nobody normally meets those beliefs because they're still buried in the unconscious. But the inner critic is a great way to flush out those things which are actually negative beliefs holding you back. So if you're a diligent person, it's good to have the list of all your negative beliefs about yourself so that you can go in and dissolve them. The inner critic is a great gift and gives you treasure that way.
And what are some ways in which people...
So all of the demons are like that.
Yeah, and so what are some ways in which people can become aware that this is the inner critic speaking, or this is actually my soul, or this is my authentic self speaking? What are some ways in which people can...
okay, well, the authentic self The authentic self never uses words of more than one syllable. That's how you know it's your ego and drama speaking.
Okay.
Your truth doesn't use a lot of words. It just goes like this. It just goes, or, or that's all it says. If it's using a whole load of words, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that, that's your demons.
Okay.
You know that it's your soul because it doesn't exactly use a lot of more than 2 syllables.
And it's more symbolic in a way. It's more,
And also it feels good.
yeah.
The other thing is it feels good. It doesn't feel like it's doing you down. If your soul is speaking to you, it's not going to make you feel shit.
Right.
So if you're feeling like squashed by it, that's not your soul speaking. That's your limiting fears about yourself. And that needs to be cuddled. It means when you're talking to yourself in that negative way, that means you need to rub your chest and go, oh, you're lovely, you are. Are you feeling negative? And you treat yourself like the mental patient that you are, rather than go, no, I've got to stiff up a lip. I'm going to get through this. You just be really tender and kind with all your failing. Every time you fail, you find it more adorable than the last time. That's the ticket.
Right. And it's sort of a habit which you have to build over time, because if our first instinct is to escape from that negative, horrible feeling, then that's what we're going to keep doing. And that's what is going to keep accumulating. So
that's why I always say we need to start as a human and say, I am now a human who is willing to feel some of my uncomfortable feelings. If you can't start with that, this goes nowhere.
Yeah. That's really fascinating.
And you have to do it kindly.
Yeah. And so you said you were an artist. So when you were in the process of creating art, what were some barriers for you and how did you overcome them?
Well, one is to just to realize we've been told a lot of lies. And when you come across them, to see them as lies so they don't hold on to you anymore. For example, we all believe that success, it's funny, I was writing about a blog about this today called How to Be Successful Without Squirming. We all believe that success, because we've been taught, it's how many did you get out of 10. Success is how much money it made, how much everyone loved it, and how much status I got. That's the general feeling of what success is. But for me, success includes how much did I learn while I was doing this thing. Success includes how deeper relationships did I have with other people along the way, the people I worked with or I came across. How deep did we go together? How much was there intimacy and a feeling of, a deeper feeling rather than just an intellectual process? How much did my work deepen an experience for anybody else? Was it of any service to the world? Did anyone get a good vibe from it? There's all kinds of definitions of success which hold people back. And I want to broaden it so that we don't just look at the value of, if it didn't make money, it was a waste of time. Because it may not have made money, but I learned incredible skills. I had a deep, fun time with people. There was a lot of joy. Other people felt deep intimacy and healing too. Whatever. There's all kinds of different ways we can value the success. So the other thing that you've got to watch out for when you're making art, especially if you haven't had any success yet, is to not get too hung up on all our stuff being good. Right. You have to allow good stuff to come through, crappy stuff to come through, okay stuff to come through. And if you're so uptight that no one will see me being anything other than amazing, then you're never going to do anything good, because as the river starts coming through, you're going to be editing it before it's even got onto the screen. You're pre-editing it to make sure it's amazing. And then it's like pruning a flower before it's had a time to blossom. So you've got to let the stuff come through and not be so uptight around everything being brilliant at the beginning. Even artists like Bjork, Jimi Hendrix, John Lennon, they all did crappy album tracks, but they just let everything come through. They did shoddy work and good work, but the good work was amazing because they let the aperture of what was coming through be really wide. So it's really important to not be too over-editing too soon and allow stuff to sometimes not be that good. It doesn't matter. It's not so important. No one even cares. They're only going to notice the good stuff. They're not going to remember the bad stuff. So, not to be over editing it and too uptight around only doing amazing stuff is a huge thing. It's just to lighten up about whatever people think of you. No one really cares. Fail big sometimes. It's okay.
Yeah. And what about the people who are stuck in that over perfectionism or having that sense of that this work needs to be perfect? what is one quick way, one way of advice that you would give to those people that would just kind of let them let them uh, let them fail and get better at it over time?
One thing I would say to them is, I would say, what advice would you give your friend who is having the same artistic block?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give someone, your kid, someone you really love, if they were experiencing the same limitation as you? Everyone will say, hey, just get on with it, man. It doesn't matter. If you were giving the advice to someone else, you'd be totally mellow about it. Just include yourself in the same generosity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are some tips that you would give your younger self? What are some things that you, if you could time travel and if you could tell your younger self some advice, some words of advice to maybe help those, that creative rocket fuel, what would it be?
I would say just keep producing stuff, just keep making stuff, even if no one ever sees it. Just keep doing the stuff you enjoy. Make it about your enjoyment, not about what other people think when it's done. Like you did when you were a little kid and you were left on your own. You did it for your own enjoyment. You didn't do it for anyone else. And just recapture that feeling of just, I love doing this as a process, no matter what happens. And if you don't love doing it as a process, that's not your medium. Another thing I would have said to myself, which someone said to me recently that I needed to learn, and it was so true, which was know the difference, be able to discern and perceive in your life what really is a threat. Because I've gone through my life avoiding things which I thought were a threat, like looking stupid, which were never a threat. Looking stupid is great. It's the greatest liberation in the world, looking stupid, not caring if other people go, oh, he's a bit stupid. Who cares? Anthony de Mello, the wonderful Jesuit monk, he would say, when someone said to him, hey, that was a stupid thing to say, instead of like defending it, no, it wasn't. He just says, oh, God, you think that was stupid? You should have heard what I said yesterday. That was stupid. And you just kind of run onto the knife of all that stupidity.
All right, so we got a little bit cut off last time due to technical difficulties, but we're back with part 2 with Jamie Catto, the man, the myth, the legend himself, with us in another.
Cheeky fucker.
So, Jamie, tell me, in terms of what we were talking about last time, just taking it from there, in terms of us really getting, is it more of an overcoming of a fear for a creative person, or is it more of an embracing?
I mean, you may feel fear, but the one in you who feels fear isn't the one who is doing the great art. There'll always be that little voice feeling fear and, saying, oh, we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, we need to play it safe. But that's not the artist. That's the artist's bodyguard who has been given far too much say and far too many duties and has got the importance of their job of us never looking stupid or imperfect as a far too important thing. If we're so concerned with not looking stupid, not looking imperfect, not looking any of the other things, then we will never do any art or show anybody anything. And that straitjacket that people have because they're so concerned on what people might think of them, it's actually vanity to not produce your work because of what people might think. It's totally vanity. And it's the same kinds of people who take too much credit for it when it goes well, because it wasn't you that did it, even when it went well. So you're off the hook. It doesn't matter. When the good shit comes through, it wasn't you. What did you do exactly to generate an idea in your head? Nothing. And so, don't take the credit, and also don't feel bad when it comes through rubbish, but be there for it. It's really worth listening to Elizabeth Gilbert's talk. She was the woman that wrote, let me see what it was called, the talk. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He said, scratching his nose. Don't pick your nose. I'm not picking it. I'm scratching it. Her talk is all about how the muse, in the old days, we didn't used to take the artist so seriously. We didn't take the credit in the old Roman and Greek days. If you did a great sculpture, it was because the muse was amazing, you know, and you were just there as a channel of conduit of the muse. And then if it wasn't good one day, well, I was here, the muse didn't show up. It's not such a big deal. But these days we've become so egocentric. We like taking the credit for everything.
Mm-hmm.
We act like when it goes incredibly well that we're gods. And when it doesn't go well, oh, my career's over, you know, and it's all bullshit. If you want to be an artist, all that means is you're a glorified secretary for what comes through. And you just listen deeply and, oh, a lovely melody, oh, a lovely project idea, oh, a lovely painting. And you have skills and you do something to bring it through, but it's not really your credit. If you're really in devotion to it, and we talked about this last time, about saddling your project as if it's a donkey to carry your self-esteem issues up the hill or your money worries up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And the true artists aren't doing that. You're just enjoying yourself and, oh, wow, we did an amazing track. It was a top 10 single. How crazy. Or, oh, no, we did another one that sounded like country and western. No one's going to like that. And you just sometimes it comes out country and western. What are you going to do? You just have to do another one, you know?
Yeah.
But don't take it so seriously. Like, it's so important that people like your stuff.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a picture of you online where you have all these labels like fear and a lot of words. Bullying.
Fake.
Yeah.
Because we all have all of those parts of ourselves. We all have that potential.
Right.
If you're somewhere and you meet somebody who you don't really like the look of,
mm-hmm.
and they're just offering you maybe $500,000 to advertise your podcast, just watch how fake you get about how you like them a little bit more than you really do. You know, like we all have fakeness in it. We all have greed. Who hasn't been to a party where you arrived and you hadn't eaten dinner stupidly, and their canapes, their snacks are just so utterly delicious, and you know you're going to have more than your fair share, and you may have really genius ways to hide it. We've all been greedy. We've all been fake. We've all been a bully to a partner that wouldn't do what we wanted, guilt trip them. You know, we've all got all these dark places, and we all act, again, because of this perfection addiction. You mustn't see my project till it's amazing. You mustn't see me or think of me as anything other than perfect. We're so addicted to that approval and that feedback that we spend our lives exhausting ourselves pretending I'm only these 4 things. I'm none of these other bad things, really. But of course we all are. Did you ever see this experiment? Your listeners and you, if you don't know it, should check out this thing called the Stanford experiment. Did you ever hear of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
40 people, they turned half into prisoners and half into guards and changed the rules. They were committing abuses within 5 days.
Yeah.
Everyone has this potential and you can bring it out of them. You know, it's very calm right now in America because everybody can buy a burger for 99 cents. It's the fast food that has stopped that country from going into a revolution. If you didn't have the 99% burger, and you couldn't feed yourself, even though you're killing yourself when you're eating it, but if you couldn't get a 99% fast food solution, everyone would be too hungry to eat the normal price food, and there would be a civil war in America. There'd be a revolution. It's the hamburger, the 99-cent burger, that keeps America quiet.
It's great. In terms of, you spoke a lot about, in terms of our own identities a lot, and this identity as an artist that we create. And you also talk about going against the kind of egocentric, the pretentious, that kind of artist stereotype. So what?
Do it as a role. Oh, be the stereotype. I mean, be in costume with the cameras flashing, be Prince, be David Bowie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't think it's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a role. It's fun. They're snapping the cameras. I'm posing. Look at my velvet jacket. Enjoy it. It's a thrill. The crowds are cheering. Love every second of it. But don't think it really makes you any better or like special.
Right.
But definitely enjoy it. Don't think that it's bad to enjoy it. We had a motto in Faithless, because we were, regularly in that kind of level of top of the charts, cameras flashing, thrilling, not meaningful. That was our little mantra. But don't therefore mean you have to be celibate about the thrilling part. You can enjoy the thrill. Just don't think it makes you special. And then you can have as much of it as you want. The problem people you see are some people that have experienced it so young, or they're so emotionally immature that they really believed it made them special. I saw Kanye West on Jimmy Kimmel the other night.
Yeah.
This guy's just spouting just so much nonsensical, idiotic, unintelligent nonsense. But he's got it into his head that because he's made a lot of money, therefore what he has to say matters, is more relevant than someone else. And it's nonsense. What he has to say clearly doesn't matter. You should have heard just the drivel that was coming out of the man's mouth. But because he sold a lot of records, he's on Jimmy Kimmel, everyone's listening. So he's getting the feedback that people want to hear what he has to say. So he believes it. And therefore, you know, when you're immature, you will believe that you're a bit special because everyone's feeding that back to you. You're special, you're special, you're special. And if you believe it, God help you, then you've already sold out to the devil. And it's like, all this can be yours in front of Christ. But if you can enjoy all the glitz and the cameras and the awards and the velvet jacket and the chicks screaming and all that stuff, and never for 1 minute think it means you're special, but you're enjoying the ride, have 3 helpings, brother. Great.
So that's a really fascinating way of looking at it in terms of not taking ourselves too seriously. I really resonate with that. I was also wondering about what you thought of change in terms of transformation as somebody who's, let's say, a creative entrepreneur or somebody who's looking to make that identity level change over time. What are some techniques that cause that kind of transformation of an artist?
Into a healthier place, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, what happens is, you know, that luckily if you get success, everything that it promised you, the money and the attention and the status that was going to make your life okay, it lasts for about 17 minutes. And then you're the same depressed fucking narcissist you were to begin with. And nothing will fill that endless hole. You're a hungry ghost, a massive ghost with a tiny mouth. Nothing will ever fill you up and satisfy you from those areas, status, attention, and money and stuff. So you get a thing called paradise syndrome, like that Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics would sometimes talk about, and Jim Carrey has been talking about a lot recently online. If you listen to anything the actor Jim Carrey has been saying, he's saying, I wish everyone could get famous so you can realize it's not going to, he says, I wish everyone could get rich and famous so you can realize that's not going to give you what you want. And then you can really go for what is going to give you what you want, which is rich communication with the other humans. That's what will give you what you want, is being in deeper connection with the other humans. They say the opposite of addiction is connection. And when they give these addicts a really deeper connection, even sometimes an emotional support dog, you know, the addiction goes away. It's about a lack of connection. So don't build your house on sand. Don't think that just because you've got all this fame and you know, that you're not still Jenny from the block. Because anybody that does get those things, they realize, like Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics often talks about, he goes, you get to this thing called paradise syndrome, where you've had it all and you're still not happy. And then you're really depressed because what do you do now? You've got the fame, you've got the money, you've got the world. What do I do now to feel okay? And that's when these people will either kill themselves, go into rehab, or, you know, find spirituality.
Yeah, it's that
spirituality that's going to help you in the end. If you make your God money, status, success, then that God will fail you. But if you make your God your deeper connection with the other humans, it will never fail you. And they come to, so, you know, you can go the easy way or the hard way, but even if you earn all the money and do it, your soul will still lead you to the dissatisfaction that will bring you back to, I need a deeper connection with the other humans. And that's what it comes back to, a deeper connection with the other humans. Nothing else. You can have everything else. If you haven't got a deeper connection with at least a few humans, planet Earth is hell.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely also asked myself that question of what now? And it can be a really scary question in terms of when you do reach a certain level of success, you think, what now? So what are some ways of getting over that kind of mindset into a more long-lasting kind of happiness in terms of...
when you get happy, but then you go, what now?
What now, yeah.
The dissatisfaction comes back quick.
Yeah.
You look in the mirror and you say, I am an addict. Nothing will ever make me happy. If you feel the what now feeling, it means you've left the present moment. You've left the aliveness that's possible in this moment. If you're feeling what now, it means you're looking to a future that doesn't exist yet. So you're not here. You're not alive. You're in narcolepsy. You've gone to sleep thinking there's some imaginary future that's going to feel good. You've left this present moment. You've gone to sleep. So in those moments, what I suggest is you do everything you can to come back to the present moment. What tools do we have to come back to the present moment? Breathing, listening to your breath. Your breath is only happening now. You can't listen to future breaths. You can only listen to this breath. Right. Notice what your mind is thinking. Notice what I'm thinking when I'm thinking what now? What am I thinking? Do I want a naked woman? Do I want a drug? Do I want to buy a gadget? What am I looking to fill the hole with? Look at what your mind is thinking and realize that whatever that thinking marketing is giving you, you should buy this, you should do that. Whatever marketing strategy your mind is giving you for what you should do instead of be in this moment, whatever marketing strategy is giving you is not you. It's not really you doing it. If you can watch the thought do that, you're the watcher, not the thought. You're the watcher. The thought's not watching you. You're watching it. So you come back to the present moment and notice what your mind's thinking and realize you're watching the thought. It's not watching you. So again, you're back in the present moment. You're watching the mind. You're not being seduced by the mind. You're going, oh shit, I'm thinking of masturbating again. 7th time today. That's probably not a good idea. But you notice your mind do that and not take you actually into the doing of it. You notice the seduction of what's trying to hook you in. And the third thing is you look around and see what is available in this moment. You can call a friend in this moment if you're lonely. You can get into your body and dance in this moment if you're feeling stuck. You can go to the fridge and hopefully eat something healthy like a kale smoothie. You can do things. It's not like you have to sit still and have no stimulus. You are allowed to do things.
Absolutely.
And so don't think just because you have to take responsibility for being in this moment that you can't use this moment to enjoy with other people, a good book, piece of music, something to eat. You're allowed to fill this moment with things that feed you healthily in this moment. You don't have to suddenly go into a monk's cell and stare at a wall with a grass shirt. Make it easy for yourself, make it enjoyable, but make this moment enjoyable, but be in this moment enjoying it. And so that might mean that being responsible for yourself is calling a friend.
Absolutely. In terms of somebody who has many years of cultural and social conditioning, deep social conditioning, what are some ways in which a person can raise their awareness to decondition themselves and be fully more in presence and awareness?
Keep watching. Yeah. You've just got to stay awake and keep watching. Keep noticing yourself. Make a list of all the things that trigger you each day. If you want to be diligent, you can be diligent. At the end of the day, you can keep a trigger journal. Yeah. What things bugged me and knocked me off center today? What things made me anxious? Which ways was I fake today? Was there any way I was dishonest with myself or anyone today? Just give yourself your own little unvarnished, without judgment, with kindness. Never going, oh, I failed today. Never with some agenda, you're not doing it well enough. Always with kindness, like you have no agenda to improve. But you just keep a journal just to notice, I snapped at 3 people today. I was really grumpy. Oh, I wonder if that was because I didn't eat breakfast before I went out. You just you're just curious, but you're not judgmental. And that's one thing I want you and your listeners to really take. It's never judgmental. If you're being with yourself, it's not you. It's not spirit. It's self-harming. You're not meant to be exasperated in order to succeed in this. You're just meant to watch lovingly, not have high expectations. Just be loving. And go, there I am being dishonest again. Try and do better tomorrow. No big deal. You're constantly forgiving.
Yeah. That's a very important mindset shift in order.
So important. So without the loving part, don't bother with the awareness. It's self-harming.
Yeah. And in terms of harnessing energy throughout the day, doing something that you're really passionate about requires energy. And a lot of people are putting on this show, like, look at me, look at who I am, I'm so cool. And that takes a lot of energy. And so what are some ways to drop that sense of, oh, look at me, and go more in.
Notice that you're enjoying the thrill.
Yeah.
Enjoy the thrill as a meditation on a thrill, and notice the part of you that wants to feel special, and give that part of you that wants to feel special a little chest rub. And, oh, do you want to feel special? So that you can be conscious about that without being judgmental, but also enjoy the thrilling part. Enjoy if you've got the baddest purple velvet jacket.
You keep bringing
Enjoy people enjoying it.
It's funny. Yeah.
Enjoy it all.
Right.
Just don't let it don't be its bitch.
Mm-hmm.
When you see someone who's taking themselves all like seriously and I'm a great artist and blah, 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 they're embarrassing themselves. How they think they're being so powerful, but anyone looking thinks, wow, what a disempowered idiot. I'm sure the people that saw Kanye West on Jimmy Kimmel must have just been thinking, what a dolt. You know, what an utter, this guy thinks he's clever and he's just talking bullshit just because he's got success in hip hop music.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean he's got anything to say philosophically, you know, any more than you or me or anyone. Everyone can say what they like.
Yeah.
But just like when you see someone who's taking themselves like they're Big Willie now, you know, it's just, they look so disempowered. It's like someone who buys a Lamborghini when they get lots of money. It's just like, is there any more small penis car to buy than a fluorescent sports car? It just makes the person inside look like they're compensating for something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the more big look at me you get, everyone just thinks you're compensating. You must be really insecure.
Mm-hmm.
So realize that, you know, when you're being Mr. Big shot, you're really putting your insecurities on display.
Right. And what is the differentiation between people who have reached massive success and, like, let's say they are buying a car, but without compensation, they're enjoying the thrill and they're actually empowered enough to go maybe buy a Maserati, but because
But if they're driving it down Florida, North Miami Beach, revving the engine and trying to have attention from it,
mm-hmm.
then that's just like, you know, go get some surgery.
Got you.
It's not the car, it's who's behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conduct. It's like, which demon is driving that car? The demon of insecurity, please look at me? Or the one that's just saying, I'm loving this car, but I'm not driving down North Miami Beach. I'm going off on that mountain road. No one will see me, but I'm going to see how this motherfucker corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With my best buddy in shotgun.
Right.
You know, that's enjoying it. Like, I always thought Jamiroquai, the artist Jamiroquai, he had a fetish for sports cars. And sometimes he put them in his videos, but you can tell this is a man who loves an automobile. He doesn't need anyone to be watching for him to be enjoying this car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he just has a personal love of them that's authentic, as well as being a crazy show-off. But, you know, you can tell he's not buying that car so everyone will look at it. He's buying that car because he's fucking addicted to sports cars and he loves them, you know.
Absolutely.
So we've got 5 more minutes. What's the meaning for everybody at the end of all this? What do we conclude?
So what I like to do near the end is I like to give people like an aha moment that you had, or something that really resonates with you today, like a quote that you heard recently. And
nice.
Yeah. So
my recent aha moment was about what an overreactive diva I am, always prejudging other people's behavior wrong, especially towards me. Like 83% of the times I get upset by other people, it's me misunderstanding and misreading their intentions again and again and again, thinking they're not paying me enough respect, they're not treating me with enough care, they're not blah, they don't care about. And I'm wrong every time. I just have totally gone off on an assumption. So a thing that happened recently, just to remind me of how much I assume negative things towards me which are not intended. I was parking my car in Spain, and it was a Sunday, and I was late to meet some friends in a cafe there. And after I'd driven around the square 7 times, I was like, screw this, I'm going to park in the stupid place with the yellow zigzags. And I knew I shouldn't have been parking there, but I just was like fed up with driving around in the heat, so I just left my car there. And as I parked the car, I was stopping the car, this Spanish guy walks past and he points to my car and he goes, blah, 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 in Spanish. I wasn't speaking very good Spanish that day. I speak food, solo comer. But I didn't understand what he said. So he points to them and goes, blah, 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 blah. And my immediate feeling was, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. I've just driven around this place 7 times. I'm leaving my car here. I don't give a shit. I'm sure it's not good parking, but leave me alone. And I was like, I wasn't rude to the guy, but in my own mind, I kind of ignored him in a haughty way. Anyway, when I got out of the car, I noticed that my back bumper was pressed right up against the car behind me. And this sweet man had basically just been very kindly trying to obviously say to me, Jamie, or whatever, sir, you're squashed right up against the car. You might want to roll forward. He was probably being absolutely nice. Yet me and my victim kind of, how dare you talk to me kind of bullshit has decided he's telling me I can't park here. He's bossing me around. He wasn't at all. He was just a perfectly sweet man telling me I might want to roll forward because I was pressed up against the bumper. There was I in my sort of, tantrum, deciding that he was being an arsehole when I was totally inventing it all in my head. So that was a huge aha moment for me, is to stop inventing what other people intend towards me through my paranoia.
Absolutely. That's a great one to end with. Great. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And
Wonderful.
how can people reach you?
JamieCatto.com. I do one-on-ones. I do company stuff. I do creative groups. I do workshops mainly in England, but some in America. I've got a new workshop coming out for couples and singles called Bitches and Bastards with Ruby May. How to unsabotage all your relationships and turn the shadows into gold. And just come and find me at jamiecatto.com or write to me at jamiecatto@mac.com. And I'm very lonely. The emails do come straight to me.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much for doing this, man. Have a great
Thanks for having me.
day in Denmark. Have a good night's sleep. And I'll hopefully be catching you later sometime. I'll fill you in. All right.
Wonderful to connect, brother. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye-bye. Peace out.